The Ben Garcia Show. Yeah. Woo. Best show in the land. Yup. Listen. Come and get your information from Ben Garcia. Get the latest on your quarterback, running backs, and receivers. Tune in, so any other show you don't need him. Any news that he giving out, please just believe him. Giving out the latest prediction and top-notch analysis. Wanna hear the truth? Better have thick skin like calluses. The latest move that your team just made can be damaging. The dudes ain't speaking no facts, they just be rambling. Lights, camera, action, turn on the show. Go get the cameraman. Yeah. Lights, camera, action, turn on the show. Go get the cameraman. The Ben Garcia Show.
What's up, guys? It's the first time I've ever done this live immediately after a game where the Arizona Cardinals are come out and defeat the what is now 7-10, if I'm not mistaken, at this point, San Francisco 49ers. But overall, I know this is something that I wanted to do to start the year, but at the end of the day, it is better late than never. I've got some other plans that I got to get to tonight, but instead of just having my chance to react to the game or do it after, I really like this opportunity to be able to just talk with you guys right into the mic and explain to what my thoughts are on today's game. And so let's just jump to it like this. I want to start pregame. And pregame to me really starts where Johnny Venerable, Bo Brock, guys that do work over at PHNX Cardinals, they do great work over there. They put out that it looks like Drew Petzing is going to be the offensive coordinator for the Arizona Cardinals going forward. And so here's kind of my thoughts on that before we react to today's game, because it's easy to get frustrated, and I kind of was there as well with this team where you just felt like there was more on the bone for this team, and winning today's game and whatever, getting Marvin Harrison Jr. involved and getting Trey McBride involved, all of that is well and great, and we appreciate some of you guys in the chat as well. I believe his name is Ivan, Spider, Ian. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. This is the very first edition of me going live, although I will be doing this more regularly, but either way, neither here nor there. The report is Drew Petzing will be back for the Arizona Cardinals next season, and I'm going to be honest with you. I do have my reservations. Already to this point, someone's got to pay for this Cardinals season going awry as it did. But here's kind of the way I look at things. I understand that, personally, you look at this team and you say, hey, this year is a success because they improved, right? This team went out, they improved, they finished 8-9. That's amazing. Everything's hunky-dory. Yeah, I'm just not there as much as maybe everyone else is. My belief in this game was strictly this. Or I'm sorry, in this season was strictly this. If you'd have told me at the beginning of the season, yes, 8-9, that's where you're going to finish, I'd be like, you know what? That probably means the offense played well. It probably means the defense, kept them in some games, but were some issues. But there's more context to this game than just ending this season 8-9. And here's what I believe it is. This Arizona Cardinals team, yes, if you told me at the beginning of the season, this team 8-9, I would have said yes, progression. But you have to add a caveat to that. And the caveat is simply this. If you'd have told me beginning of the season 8-9, I would have said yes, taking that. But you also added this. Listen, they're going to go 8-9. They're going to start the season they're going to start the season 6-4. They're going to completely implode and then miss the playoffs. How does that make you feel? Well, I'm not great about that, especially when you add some other issues to the pie, which is Marvin Harrison Jr., Kyler Murray were kind of out of sync all year. Drew Petzing was super conservative with his play calling. James Conner, he's going to miss the last couple of games. There's a caveat to that. So yes, at the end of the day, sure. It was an improvement, and you can build on that. But then let's talk about what happened in today's game. Something that really frustrates me. I was expecting to see this type of performance last week, and that was because I thought Drew Petzing was starting to feel the heat a little bit. And then it came out that pretty much this team was going to ride it out with Drew Petzing one way or another. They're going to ride it out no matter what. But last week, I had tweeted out, wow, Drew Petzing must feel great about his job security because this guy is coaching a game Like nothing has changed. And then today, it almost sounded like, it was almost like before this game, Jonathan Gann and Monty Ossenfort went into the room and said, Drew, if you don't dial up something fairly quickly, you might be out of here. That's what I feel like this team told Drew Petzing before the game. And then you have him dialing up plays. I thought he was in his bag. Kyler Murray was awesome today. But this is the issues. Drew Petzing plays too conservatively. And when there's nothing to do, when everything is out of there's no more things to play for, what do you do? He comes out, he's throwing stuff downfield. Marvin Harrison Jr. looks like the number 4 overall pick. Everything looks great. Maybe today was a sign for things to come from Drew Petzing. Maybe this was, hey, we're going to take 16, 17 games to figure this out. We're not even worried about the playoffs, and that's what you saw today. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I just thought there were some things that you could have implemented earlier in the season, and you never did. You know, I want to talk about this with Marvin Harrison Jr. because I tweeted something out on my channel, or I'm sorry, on my Twitter, at Ben Garcia Show. You can follow me there on all social media platforms. I basically tweeted this out about Marvin Harrison Jr. There was a play early in the fourth quarter where Kyler throws a ball deep. It's a 50-50 ball. It's against one of the 49ers' awful cornerbacks that they got back there. And I said, Marvin Harrison Jr. needs to come down with those 50-50 balls at a higher clip. You're the number 4 overall pick. You were selected to catch those balls. I have been known, especially on social media, for some of my critiques of Marvin Harrison Jr. and some of his issues and some of his shortcomings because I hold him to such a high standard. And today, I agree with Ian in the chat. He had said Marv looked confident today. Marv did look confident. But when there's nothing to play for, you have a little bit more confidence, right? You're not worried about dropping the ball and missing out on the playoffs. You're not worried. I get it. And I'm all for momentum, and it's a good win, right? You're 8-9. You doubled your win total from last year. I get all that. But it would have been nice to see Marvin Harrison Jr. come down with that ball today, late in this game. It would have just been nice. But overall, he looked good today. If you want to go straight into the statistics at this point, Marvin Harrison Jr., 5 receptions, 63 yards, 1 touchdown. Michael Carter, 17 rushes for 43 yards. That was another guy that people wanted to see more of, in that being one Michael Carter this year. And I've always been the topic of discussion of, it doesn't really matter. He's a third string running back. So he looked good today. I thought one of my followers on Twitter made a really good point about this Cardinals offense. And it was James Conner was out, and it kind of made Drew Petzing throw the ball downfield a little bit more. And I thought about it. And I actually thought it was a really good point. I think today was the first game that Drew Petzing truly trusted Kyler Murray. And like Malachi said in the chat, looked like an early season Cardinals. It felt like he finally believed in Kyler Murray today, which not because to his own doing, not because he wanted to, but because it felt like he had to. And Kyler Murray, to his credit, showed out. There were some throws down the middle of the field that just got me into that same mindset of, how do I quit a quarterback who throws the ball that accurately downfield? And I get the issues with Kyler. I understand why some people have some serious setbacks about Kyler. He can drive you a little insane. But today, ultimately, doesn't really change anything I think of when it comes to that being Kyler. It really doesn't. Because I know how good Kyler Murray can be when the stakes aren't the highest, when nothing matters. He's always awesome. The issue is, where do we go from Kyler from here? Is he going to change? And, another good response from Malachi in the chat, where Malachi had said, Kyler doesn't do bleep when he's blitzed. Sorry, guys, if you guys don't know this, I'm not much of a cursor on the show. Try to keep it all family friendly. But, that's been a clear issue with Kyler all year, is when he's pressured, when he's blitzed, he's not very good. The only thing that I can say to that is pretty much every quarterback is. There's no quarterback in the NFL who's outside of Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, the top 5 guys who are great under that. Now, the smart thing to do is to, without a doubt, 150% come back with Kyler Murray next year. I know there's this idea that you're frustrated with Kyler Murray, and so am I, but you are not going through another rebuild. You have to remember, the way that coaches and GMs and OCs and DCs navigate their seasons is not for your pleasure. It's not for what you want. Jonathan Gannon is not shipping Kyler Murray off unless he has a good succession plan. And what needs to happen next year, and there needs to be a quick leash, because clearly Drew Petzing is coming back next year. The Cardinals can win with Drew Petzing's offense. Now, it's a certain way that they have to win. It's not very good against teams that are really good, or teams that catch fire in a game. But this team has to have a quick trigger next year for Drew Petzing. We're going to bring him back. That's fine. You want to make the argument that maybe it's not the OC, maybe it's the quarterback. If you want to move on from Kyler, that's perfectly fine. Then what is your example? What are we doing to trade out of it? So, Ivan says in the chat, 2025 is the make or break year for the Cardinals. It doesn't feel right to say next year is a make or break year for Kyler Murray. And I'm happy that this was said because it's something that I want to bring up. It doesn't feel right to say it's a make or break year for Kyler Murray. And here's why. Because I said that at the start of this season. Next year, the Cardinals have to make the playoffs or everyone's heads are rolling. It doesn't matter. Like today we're saying, if you want to get rid of Kyler Murray, awesome. Then what? What's your succession plan? Next year, if Kyler Murray doesn't figure it out, you're just getting rid of the guy. Aaron in the chat says this team is the definition of purgatory, too good for a draft pick, too bad to make the playoffs. There's some truth to that. There's some truth to a team where if Kyler isn't the guy to take you to the playoffs next year, you are there. But let me kind of finish this thought. It is, I apologize, guys. This is my first time doing a live post game after the game, so I'm trying to toggle through with the conversation and keep you guys involved. Because one thing I've been wanting to do for a while now is to really be up close and personal with my audience for a while now. So I appreciate you guys doing this. So things do look a little different here, but the right thing to do is to bring back Kyler Murray next year. It is 1,000% the right thing to do. You're not moving off of Kyler because there's no succession plan. But next year, if they don't make the playoffs, if Kyler Murray doesn't play to top 10 football, then everyone's gone. That's Jonathan Gannon. That's Drew Petzing. That's Kyler Murray. You are blowing it up. But it's too early just to ship Kyler Murray out if you don't have a succession plan in place. I think it is a complete and utter misstep by the Arizona Cardinals front office, surprise, surprise, that Drew Petzing is going to be here next year. Because it's either Petzing or Kyler, but I can only move one of those two guys. And I'm like 95% sure Petzing owns a lot of the blame offensively. Now, Kyler in big games, that's the issue. That's why today didn't move the needle for me. Drew Petzing coming back is a clear mistake, and it's going to be a mistake. This is the thing where everyone knows that's been listening to my channel, knows at this point that I'm going to be honest. I'm going to give you my unfiltered opinion, and I'm willing to admit I was wrong. I always have been that case, at least for me. But the biggest thing that I will say for the Cardinals, and that is just simply this, bringing back Drew Petzing is a complete and utter mistake. But here's the issue. JG doesn't want to be seen as a bad guy because Drew Petzing, as you guys have known this, if you've been watching my channel, is a credentialed media member for the Cardinals before. He's a extremely nice guy. Drew Petzing is a really nice guy from all things that I've heard from everyone else. He'll sit and talk with you for hours. He's a good guy. JG probably doesn't want to fire that guy. It's been his brother. He's went to war with him. That's the issue, right? But sometimes you just got to be willing to let go of guys that you care about. But what's going to happen next year? If you're going to keep Drew Petzing, it's got to be on a short leash. And now I'm kind of getting to the broader things, and I will get to that later on in the week. I will be broadcasting more later on this week as well. But, More things about this game that I wanted to get to. I am so excited to see what this Cardinals defense looks like when they go and get players. Now, I understand that the fan base, and I'm sure people in the chat have always been the go spend a ton of money to go upgrade this team. That is not the way I want to see the Cardinals upgrade this defense. I want to see them trade for a pass rusher. You can argue they're back in that conversation of not a guy like Myles Garrett, maybe a Max Crosby, maybe it's a Micah Parsons, bringing in one of those two guys to help bolster this defense. I'm so excited to see this Cardinals defense next year, and it has the potential to take this team to greater heights next year, to even be better than just a playoff team, but maybe a team that wins a couple of games in the playoffs. Because what Nick Rawlis and Jonathan Gannon have been able to do defensively with guys who are not very good players, outside of Budda Baker, there's not a single star in that defense. You didn't know who Garcia White was 2 years ago. He's playing up to the standard because Rawlis and JG have done that. I am incredibly excited, and this is the one thing that I would say I'm really excited for, to see what this defense looks like when you add a couple of pieces. They're obviously going to spend some money in free agency. They're obviously going to go get a couple of guys. But I want to see something change in the trade market. I want to see what happens when this team finally decides to go after that big name player in a trade. And maybe it's a Micah, maybe it's a Max Crosby. But one thing's clear that what we've seen from this team this year, what was the last time JG was the defensive coordinator of the Eagles? He's the only DC to have a defense with 4 guys who had 10 plus sacks. I believe it was Josh Sweat, dude that always gets in fights on the Eagles, Hassan Reddick, and it was another dude on that team who I clearly can't remember. But there were 4 guys with 10 plus sacks in a season. Imagine what Nick Rawlis and JG can do. This defense has the potential to seriously be just awesome. Just awesome next year. Sorry, guys, trying to toggle through between the chat. Who do I want us to get? I don't think it's possible. I don't think it's possible, and you just said it, Ian, right here, which Michael would be my number 1 trade target. He'd be my number 1 trade target as well. There's one thing, though, that the Cowboys are good for, and that's keeping their stars. I think you monitor the Max Crosby situation a little bit. Because if they don't get their quarterback, and I don't think they will, unless they trade up and it's Shador or Cam Ward, and we know they don't have one of the 2 top 3 picks, those are one of the guys. Because they're younger, they could come in, they could help serve really well in this defense. That's what I want to see from this team defensively. I'm uberly excited to see what kind of defense they could have. This Cardinals team next year, the number 1 thing I'm excited about is the defense. Because you can add a couple of pieces, you can trade for maybe a guy like Max Crosby, Micah Parsons, you can selectively spend your money. I know everyone sees that money and thinks you can just go get everyone. That's not the case. You have to strategically pick out guys. And whether that's like a Mac Wilson type player, you go all in on one big guy, but you don't want to spend your money everywhere because free agency is fool's gold. But what Nick Rawlis and JG have shown, they have earned the right to go get a few big players to help out this defense. Because we saw what they can do with the scrap heap. There's no stars on this defense. And I'm curious to see what happens when you add a couple of pieces to that mold, how great this team could be, especially even defensively. You got to go draft the pass rusher. Ojulari's coming back. Someone mentioned that in the chat as well. So really excited. You know, let me just take one more second to say this. Outside of the little things today, Trey McBride is awesome. You need to just... Trey McBride is the type of extension where you sit down at the table and you slide over the check and you say, hey, just fill it out. Just fill it out. That's what the Cardinals need to do with Trey McBride. Give him a blank check. Say, hey, you want to make yourself the highest paid tight end? Make it happen. Don't go crazy now. Sign that check and get him on here. Part of being a competent franchise is not toying around with your superstars. That's what the Cowboys did. That's what the Bengals have done. Do not let Trey McBride slip through the cracks. He has carried this offense along with James Conner all year long. Monty Ossenfort balled on a budget last year, as someone mentioned in the chat, defensively and in free agency, and I was the only one who did not go after him because building through free agency has never had continued success and sustained success. But you got to pay Trey McBride. Don't lowball him. Don't be the Bengals. Don't be the Cowboys. Don't irritate him. I've interviewed Trey McBride before. Great guy. That is the type of dude I want to build a team around. That is a franchise cornerstone. That is one of Keim's few draft picks that actually worked out. And I don't even give him a ton of credit for it because he was seen as the best tight end in the draft. He lucked into him in the second round. Good for him. But do not screw around with Trey McBride's extension. Make it happen. Go get him. All right. Let's talk about this really quickly. And then I'll probably bail out of here. Kyler Murray has earned another year as the Arizona Cardinals quarterback. I know it's frustrating. I know it's you just want to move on for move on's sakes. And hey, if there's someone out there that makes actual sense, that is a clear better option than Kyler Murray, I am all for it. But you are not getting any better what it looks like on the market than Kyler. And I've had my issues with Kyler. And next year is a serious make it or break it year. Not just for Kyler, not just for Jonathan Gannon, not just for Drew Petzing, but this team, if they do not succeed next year, there will be hell to pay. Everyone will get fired. Kyler Murray will be gone. So everyone that wants Kyler gone, you might get your wish next year. But if this team does not make the playoffs next year, potentially win their division, and win a playoff game, we will be back at square one. And it's already kind of frustrating because it feels like we went backwards a little bit. But you can say 4 wins to 8 wins to now potentially playoffs next year. So next year is it. It's the make or break year. It's the make or break year for Monty Ossenfort, JG, and Drew Petzing. But most of all, it's the make or break year for Kyler Murray. He's got to get on the same page with Marvin Harrison Jr. He's got to be a 4,000-yard passer next year. He's got to rush for potentially 400 yards. He's got to throw for more than 20 touchdowns next year. And I'm willing to give him that leash because there's just no other better options. So that's what I feel it is going into next year with Kyler. You're not moving on with him. I think it would be a mistake not to draft another quarterback and just have a simple succession plan in place. But you're not getting Sam Darnold. You're not allocating another $50 million to him. You're not going after Joe Flacco. That's nonsense. This team has a potential, or Kyler Murray has the potential to turn it all around next year. And I love the strides he's made as a person and as a leader on the field. I don't really get too upset with the sulking. Everyone does that on the sidelines at times. But next year's it. So everyone that wants to move on from Kyler might be getting your wish. Anyways, guys, I have got some plans to go hang out with some friends to go watch the Lions and Vikings game. Expect me to be live more often. I'm going to do some of this stuff, but my wife is outside ready to leave. I appreciate you guys turning in. Looks like 17 of you. Ivan, Ian, Spider, Aaron, Original Guy, Malachi. All you guys tuning in, I appreciate it. This is all new to me. I haven't done this before, but I will definitely get into it. And as you guys know, I'm the producer. I'm the social media guy. I'm the talent guy. All with a wife who's patiently sitting out the door, ready to leave. So I will continue to do this, guys. Expect me to start doing this stuff in the morning, though. Appreciate it. You guys have a good one. Stay safe. And as you guys know, until next time, I'm Benjamin Garcia, and it's been the Ben Garcia Show.